Welcome to the Front Seat Life podcast. This is Jessica Butts, your host and CEO and creator of Front Seat Life, where I help you be unapologetically who you are in your life, love, and business. So hi, I am Jessica Butts, everybody, and I have probably one of my all-time most favorite people and clients ever. And as I said on the precursor for Friday's episode, this is very gross of me to say, but I love you because you're just like me.
I'll take that.
Yeah, we're basically like the same human being. I'm like the girly version and you're the hippie version
I think so.
Of the same person. So we're both ENFJs. We both used to be psychotherapists. We met by doing psychotherapy. So tell them your version of how we met.
So my version is that I used to supervise her.
Yeah.
And she came into my office and was like, hey, I need supervision. And I was like, great. And so we worked together for months. And then that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, I saw what you were doing on Facebook and I was like, what is happening? What is she doing? This is amazing. And I need to be doing that. And so I hit you up and I was like, hey, what's going on? And you started to explain to me about coaching and how you had retired from therapy.
Yeah.
And at that same point, I was telling somebody, one of my clients, about my journey in my field. And I was like, yeah. And then, I reached my goal and here I am. And then I heard this little voice in the back of my head that said, and now what?
Ooh.
And I was like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear that voice. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it just kept, I kept hearing it.
Yep.
And then we reconnected. I went to your Front Seat Life event and it was like done. Like, okay, like I need to be the student and, you're the sensei now. So I'm gobbling it all up.
Awesome. And you really are. You are an absolute A+ student. You have absolutely been killing it. It's part of the reason I wanted to have you on the podcast for a couple of different reasons. I am embarking in my business on a new way of being as well. As a coach, I am always learning and always growing, and I am in a very heavy growth and investment time. I'm spending a lot of money on coaching and learning new things, and obviously my clients get to learn that as well. And part of what I am learning is a success path that is taught to me by Stu McLaren of the tribe. Also paying attention to pain and solutions, obviously taught by Marie Forleo and Copy Cure. And so I want to just talk a tiny bit about, because the reason I like to have people on the show and the podcast is so that they can see themselves. I think one of the greatest testimonials is just for people to see themselves in other people. Like as coaches or therapists or whatever, we can say, hey, you should go to the event, or you should, start your own business or learn how to leverage. But until you hear it from someone else and identify with their pain, you don't know what you don't know. So I know you and I were in the exact same position. So my pain, and then I'm curious to hear your pain, is my pain was a great pain, actually. And it was similar, is I had more money than I had time. And I had more clients than I had time. You and I both grew our private practices pretty quickly, very full. But my biggest issue was I wanted to work, I'm using air quotes on a podcast. I wanted to be an entrepreneur so that I could have some freedom and be creative. But then I realized about 18 months into having a full practice, well, fuck, all I have now is another job. I had no time. I mean, people would say like, oh, do you want to go out after work? And I'm like, if I have to talk, no. Like if I have to use any morsel of my brain, no, I can't do that.
Right.
And so I realized this is not what I wanted to do. Like I loved being able to give back, but there was also this moment of I am only reaching people one at a time. That's a whole nother problem. The pain is trading hours for dollars doesn't work. But then there's also the pain of when you know you have a message, which you definitely do, and I do as well, is that I'm choosing as a one-to-one coach, therapist, whatever, you're only delivering that content to one person at a time. And yes, there is value in that, but you're bottom line is, everybody who's listening right now that just felt a sense of resistance of like, oh, but that's so altruistic and blah, blah, whatever. The bottom line is you are doing, I believe, the world a disservice by actually not reaching more people. Because if you believe you have a message, which we're going to get into your message, you're doing the world a disservice by not providing all the ways possible for people to get your message. Would you agree?
I'm about to get choked up.
Oh,
yeah,
good. Okay,
totally.
great. I as I say, I have not done my job until someone cries. So
yeah,
great.
well, it's like you're like Barbara Walters or No, but it's absolutely true. It's like, and I love one-on-one work. I love coaching one-on-one. I love seeing my clients' growth. I think it's amazing. And something that resonated when we first started working together was like, if you find that you're saying the same thing over and over to your clients, like, you've got a message. I mean, aside from the personal messages, right? But it's like, I was like, yeah, I am saying, you know, it's not like I'm doing canned therapy or coaching by any way, shape, or form, but I keep hearing the same themes coming up and the same symbols and messages that come to me that I share, that I'm like, yeah, okay, this is a time where I need to start to expand and grow my audience.
And you just said something very powerful, because there's a difference between, I'm going to spend the next 8 weeks talking about girl boss. And most girl bosses starting their business, I call them the girl bosses because they're still girls. And then there's the lady bosses that have grown up. And the girl bosses have not learned their point of view yet. They haven't learned, oh my God, I have something that I say over and over and over again. But you are someone who realized, I've had this full practice. How long have you been doing psychotherapy? 15?
Yeah, about 15. Well, yeah, no, probably closer to 19.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
She looks
I
great,
mean, in clinics, and I'm 47, you know?
Yeah. And so there is a very powerful delineation between a girl boss and a lady boss. And there's no judgment. Like, we all started, you started 19 years ago. And, you know, I started about 8 years ago, and I was like, I don't know if I've got a message. I don't really know. I'm just going to try. Basically.
And I'm kind of winging it.
Yeah. If you want to pay me, I'm fucking happy to do whatever I need to do. I will give you 110%, but I didn't know what I didn't know. Like, you know, people ask me still, like, what was your methodology in therapy? I'm like, shut up. Like, it's just to be there with people and meet them where they're at. Like, whatever. Like, it's just such it's just, people don't know. But anyway, you learn after however many years, oh my God, I am repeating the same thing, because here's the deal. Once you figure this out, is that you do have a specific point of view, and we cannot be everything for everyone.
Right.
People that say, oh, I'm just a therapist, or, oh, I'm just a coach. If you don't have a niche, if you don't have a specific point of view, you are in big trouble. And so you learned that. And I love the language you're using, because I say that all the time with clients, is like, you realize, oh, wow, I am saying the same thing over and over. I wonder if I could do this on a grander scale.
Right. And at the beginning, like when I was a girl boss and just starting out and trying to figure out the private practice business, I was taking everybody, you know, and then as I became more seasoned and got a niche,
good.
I really started to attract amazing clients who are interested in, you know, in soul growth.
Yes.
You know, and so as you get more seasoned and more comfortable in your business, that niche is going to come too. And so now it's like, I don't take everybody, you know, and it's also about like you know, I hate to be all law of attraction, because it is a little bit of that and it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah. It's also how you show up in the world. It's about you attracting the right clients. I believe that it is the law of attraction, but I also believe it's marketing. I believe it's your point of view. I believe it's your website. I believe it's how you literally and physically show up in the world. That is who you attract. And when people don't understand the importance of a point of view and branding and your message, all the stuff that we're about to get into, this is what happens, is it loses its oomph. There's no way to attract people because you don't have any sass. You don't have a specific point of view. You don't have a thing. You don't have a niche.
Right.
Yeah.
And even before I started working with you, I was kind of like, I don't know. It's a lot of the stuff that I do is super intuitive. and it was meeting the client where they were at and then, working with them that way. But since working with you, I'm like, wow, I really do have a system. I really do have things that they, tools. I mean, I always knew I had tools in my toolbox, but it's like, oh, actually, I do have a system here.
Yeah.
And it's about concretizing that and, writing it out and creating a whole, system and structure, which I think was always in there. It was just never brought out and packaged and delivered in a specific way.
So tell the listeners a little bit about where you were and all that you have done in the past 8 or 9 months.
So when I first came, I went to your event. It was amazing. And, the whole time I was just like, okay, I was totally clear because, there are tons of coaches out there, and not all of them are great. And I was like, okay, I know you, I trust you. And, let's go for it. And I was just doing one-on-one psychotherapy Monday through Thursday. And, my body was literally physically hurting from sitting in a chair all day. And then I would come home and I'd be like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
And you were limiting your income potential and your time with your children and your time with your husband because as a therapist and as anyone who does hours for dollars, we literally can't create more time.
Right. Well, and especially if you're working with insurance companies. So I had 4 insurance companies, and then I found that I was getting resentful because I'm like, you're giving me pennies compared to how much time I've been doing this and worth and all that stuff that I have cut 3 out of the 4 out. And my goal is by the end of this year to get stating it by the end of this year to get off the last insurance company.
Awesome.
Because it is limiting. I was like, oh, I could only literally make this much money a year.
Isn't that crazy?
Because I can't put any more clients in these seats.
Yeah. So what shifted? I mean, I know what shifted, but I want you to tell the listeners mindset wise. I think about you a lot because when we talk, I tell you, you went to Columbia University. You have a master's degree from Columbia University. You're a smart bitch. And there are times where the beauty of working with really brilliant, creative, smart people.
You should come on this show all the time.
You're welcome. Awesome. Is that it's fun? Yeah, right. It's fun for me to watch you have aha moments. I mean, this is my home office. We've sat here before and I've walked you through things where you literally just have this look on your face of oh, I get it. And so it's not about how smart you are. It's not about pushing a boulder up a hill. It's just opening your eyes, right? To a new way of being. Because you are such a perfect example of somebody who is wicked smart. You built a successful practice on their own, but you literally couldn't see outside of your immediate reality.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that is the case. It's the case for me too. That's why I always have a coach, why I'm hiring new people and doing new things. It's because we get to a certain spot and we can't see past that.
Right.
So you were definitely that person. So tell me I don't know what it is, taking the blinders off, what that was like.
Yeah, it was a little bit about taking the blinders off because it's okay, I know this so well. And it's a little bit about, tipping into that fear of the unknown. And quite honestly, I mean, I don't know if you ever had this, but I was a coach. You go to school for 3 months and now you're this,
Totally.
And it was a total judgment on my part.
Yeah.
Because I was I went to school and I did all the things and I, busted my ass for making insurance squat money, and then one day I was oh, wait a second, hold on. This is actually, business wise, this is a very good business to shift into.
Yep.
On top of which I was intuitively coaching my clients anyway, because the difference between therapy and coaching is therapy, you're looped in the past and you're working all in the past. And yes, even with my coaching clients, we dip in because it's important to, for me at least in my work, to see the patterns in people's lives.
Yep.
And it's like, and we're right here today. How are you going to choose to live your life differently so that you could live your fullest life?
Yep.
And so strategically and business wise, I was like, okay, I'm already doing this. I just now need to shift my business structure.
Yep.
And so when you were like, okay, I remember the first thing that you asked me to do was to post on Instagram for 30 days. And I was like, oh, okay. Again, blinders went off. I think I'm lucky that I have a growth mindset and that I'm open to new things, because I was just like, not quite sure what this is going to do and why I need all these followers. I don't quite get it, but I'm going to do it anyway, and now I get it.
Yeah.
And I've had people contact me through Instagram and I'm seeing how to leverage, and the other thing was like, oh yeah, all the things that I say to people over and over again. Wait, you want me to give that away for free?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, like, but then aren't I going to lose money if I give all my stuff away? And it's the opposite because it's, it's expanding my reach and more people are hearing my message and then connecting with me and then working with me.
Totally.
And it's also about the energy that, again, like we said, like you were putting out there. So like, yeah, you're getting what I'm saying, but when you're actually working with me, you're getting so much more.
Yep. And let's dive into this a tiny bit. So I know that I experienced this when I transitioned out of psychotherapy and doing the hours for dollars. And you struggled with this, as did I when my coach did it. That stretching of the mindset, the stretching of thinking outside the box for $150 an hour to what would it look like to have a package? What does it look like to give freebies? What does it look like to work with someone for 6 months? Because you and I, to use like therapy terms, are solution-focused therapists. We are, yes, you need to know some of the past, but I have said for years that I think one of the biggest issues with coaching, one is they don't address the stuff from the past, but then therapists sometimes only address from the stuff from the past, and then they
don't say anything.
Yes. Or they don't have coaching skills. Yes. And so you and I are solution focused. We're like, okay, now that we know the dirty laundry, the stuff in the backseat, the family traumas, all that shit, like, let's do something productive about it and move forward. Hence the new name of your company. But so tell me about that uncomfortability of me like stretching you. You hated it and now you love it. And
quite honestly, I'm still getting used to it.
Yeah.
It's still like, I feel like I just turned a corner on it, because I was struggling. I was like, wait a second, what kind of packages? Who the hell is going to spend this money? Yeah. Like, and again, there was that charlatan complex of like, who am I to be charging this amount of money? Even though consciously I'm like, I have like almost 20 fucking years of experience and went to an Ivy League school. Like I could do this. And quite honestly, all the stuff that I do, I didn't learn at the Ivy League school.
High five to that. Yeah.
And
totally.
But there was that piece of like, and then I went to school. I got my master's in social work. So that is like, you're ingrained into this,
giving and working for,
that you have to be like on the line, like making 30 grand a year, and
having money is bad and rich people are bad and blah, blah, blah.
Right. And you can't be in your own power. And if you like money and you want to have a nice life, don't go into this profession.
Yeah.
And so it was ingrained in me in a lot of ways in school. And then it just kind of carried on, and to build my practice, I did insurance, which kind of also, added to that. And so it was a huge stretch for me to have that hurdle.
Yep.
And then I was like, okay, I finally got these fucking packages down, sorta, and I, I put it on my website and I did all the, the things.
Yep.
And it was, it was hard.
Yeah. To say it.
it was hard to say it.
Yeah.
And so, and then I put it all over my website. So like, if you go to my website, here's how much it is to work with me.
Yeah.
And, and then it was like crickets for like months.
Yeah.
That it was that second guessing, and it was the fear and it was the, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I should lower my prices, or, and I talked to my mastermind ad nauseum about pricing, and they were like, don't you dare. Don't you dare do it.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And it was one of those, and I talk to my clients about like stepping into your fear for growth.
Yes.
And here I am. This is what's happening it financially, and marketing wise, that I was like, okay, I just need to stick with it.
All right, everybody, can I get a drum roll, please? Ladies, are you an entrepreneur that is overwhelmed? You need to get out of one-to-one and hours for dollars. Has your messaging become boring or vanilla? Do you need to build a team? Do you need to have a more clear message to start up-leveling your game and attracting the right clients? Let's get honest. Do you need to get your shit together with your systems and your structure? Do you need to go from a solopreneur to an entrepreneur and hire a team and have help? Do you need to boss up? Do you need to quit treating your business like a hobby, for gosh sakes? Do you want to learn how to make a passive and leveraged income? And quite honestly, who wouldn't want this? But would you like to make more money and work less? If the answer to any of those was hell yes, then you need to get your butt to the once a year Front Seat Life event. It is streamlined, up-leveled, less hoopla, more connection, and it is in the gorgeous downtown Seattle in beautiful September here in Seattle at the Sheraton Grand, September 19th, 20th, and 21st. Thursday night, we're having a party. Friday, I am going to just give every single bit of content to you. No fluff, no bullshit, no hoopla. Just all amazing content and connection and just high level. And then Saturday, we will meet for a half a day. You get to connect with high-level entrepreneurs. You get to be where the action is at. So you might meet somebody in that room that is going to change your life. Get your butt there. Tickets are ridiculously inexpensive. Grab a friend, get yourself here. The room rates are fantastic. You are not going to regret this. I know what you're thinking. I may not be qualified. I don't need this. Let me tell you, 1 year from now, you're going to be in the exact same stuck spot in your job if you don't make this decision now. It is affordable. It's enough days for you to get away. Tell your spouse, tell whoever's in your life, I am going to go do this for myself so that I can finally start taking my business seriously. That's it, friends. Get yourself there. The link to come join us in Seattle is in the show notes, or go over to jessicabutts.com. A pop-up will pop up. It will be the simplest thing you've ever done. There's no digging. You don't have to find it. Go to jessicabutts.com, get yourself enrolled. And I cannot wait to hug you and see you and talk directly to you. It's a small, intimate group, and we will be able to connect, and it will be the best decision you've made in your business in a very, very, very long time, or ever. See you there. And so how did it feel? Because I know, obviously, you're my client, so I know that you've made that transition and you now have some of them. I want to know, all the listeners want to know, how did it feel the first time? I mean, I know. So again, tell the listeners.
I mean, it was super awesome.
It felt what? Like you were like, oh my God, it worked. Like you text me and were like, holy shit, that just happened. It worked. They signed a contract. I mean, tell us how it felt.
It felt amazing. It felt light.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, like this is this is all about the self-worth piece, you know? And I'm like, okay, they're seeing the value of working with me and I am getting it.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, you're going to be on this journey with me, you know, but it just felt really congruent and everything it felt like synchronistic.
And so I think that's amazing. And the listeners, you have to be hearing this right now, that she just said all of that stuff of like, oh my God, it felt wrong. And I was so disturbed and I just couldn't do it. And then all of a sudden it's in synchronicity. Thank you, that word. And I think it has a lot to do with sticking with it. There's a lot of listeners right now, I'm sure, I know because I work with so many of them, that think this happens overnight, and it doesn't.
Right.
You got to stick with it. You got to believe. Part of the Lady Boss group is that you also get a mastermind. And I think, I obviously coach you, but then you also have these other amazing women that also coach you. You got to believe, you got to stay in it, you got to lean in, and you just have to keep taking little steps forward. And you have been such a great example of that, of, okay, I'm going to update this, and okay, I'm going to do new packages, and oh my God, okay, what do? I do this, right? Okay. And then you're now making how much more money per hour, technically? 3 or 4 or 5 times what you were making?
Pretty much, probably 3 times as much.
Yeah. So the beauty of that is obvious. 1, you make more money.
Right.
But, money is money. But money is time. Money is time with your daughters. Money is time to be with yourself, with your friends. It allows you to do other things in your life that you were unable to do before.
Right. And I'm still doing the one-on-one.
Yeah.
However, that whole concept of CEO day and working on your business and not just in your business. I mean, girl, you got me off of like Word documents. You got me off of spreadsheets, which I don't know if my husband would be that excited about that, but I have a whole new bookkeeping system. Automation. Like all the things that I don't like to do. I've automated my business. Everything's through my website or, and it's.
You have a VA.
I've got a VA. My whole website is redesigned. I have a logo and it's all the things, but 9 months ago or whenever it was, like, I had none of that, and so it is about, it is a lot of hard work, it's a lot of brain bending, and stretching myself. Like you made me do those automated emails, which that was a fucking beast, about like going, okay, I have to break down all the things that I say, do a video, write an email, figure out the whole email thing. I had got somebody else to do it, paid somebody else because I was like, this is making my brain hurt too much. But I have seen, even in the emails that have gone out, I've gotten clients through there already.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know that our year is almost up. And I'm like, I told Stephanie, I was like, I already said to sign me up for another year because I feel like I'm just, she didn't tell you?
No.
Yeah, you're stuck with me now.
Back. Yeah. Yay. Oh, I'm so
glad. I'm like, I feel like I'm just getting the groundwork.
Yep.
Like, I'm just getting it. That a whole nother year of being in, this coaching group and you and all that you offer, it's just going to get more fine-tuned. It's like in that your concept of laying the foundation of the house before decorating.
Yes.
I totally get it. And I don't think I even really got it until like 2 months ago. Yeah. I was like, oh, right. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Because so the analogy that she's referencing is building the house. So, as entrepreneurs and creative types, we like to go buy the throw pillows. I mean, come on. I have so many throw pillows because home goods, baby. It's all the decorations, all the fake flowers, all the stuff. And that is not what is long-term sustainable for a successful business. It's building the foundation. And they're the very unsexy things that you're referencing, which is getting your email list up and running, getting a following, building the stuff, doing the automation, getting it out, autoresponder emails, building your point of view and getting your proprietary system down, content calendar. I mean, just all of your signature speech, which we're going to get into. to. I mean, there's so many different fundamental pieces at this stage that you're at of once you've, I mean, because I just think that's what's interesting is you get to a place in a business and you're like, okay, I'm good. I'm like really successful. But each one of us entrepreneurs, and I know the people listening have the same feeling, is there's more. And you started this podcast by saying that there's more.
Right.
There's something more.
Now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
And the now what piece is thinking outside the box, learning about one-to-many, learning about how you can just offer different packages, how you can, your next steps are what? Writing a book,
right?
Speaking, events. I mean, right before this, she was like, oh, pause, I got to tell you, I'm going to do this thing. And I was like, of course you are.
Right.
And it's
now, again, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you wouldn't even have thought about it. I mean, you were on my podcast today, you were on somebody's podcast and radio show earlier this week, and you're doing speaking and you're getting asked to do these other things. And there has to be a sense of course I'll do that because I know, one, my value, two, I know my point of view. And I think I'm going to lead this question a little bit because I kind of want to end today with, I personally found the best part of doing all of this difficult work. And I'm actually in a year of rebuild too. So I'm in year 8 and you're in year 1 of this rebuild. So that's not true. I'm in year 4 of rebuild and you're in year 1 of rebuild. Is you got to rebuild. But then the beautiful part, and I think the best part is, and it's hard, but you learn what your point of view is. You learn, oh my God, I do have something to say. And I do have an autoresponder series in me. And I do have a signature talk. And I do have a book. And I do have a system that I can help people with.
Right.
Again, a bit of a leading, but I'm curious if that's how that's been for you.
When you were saying like it's like you're living right in front of your face, you know, and sometimes you're driving and you could only see so far with your headlights, you know, and it is about trusting the process. And then it's, you know, when you're doing all these things, like again, I was trusting and not knowing really where I was going, and then everything started to fall into place. Even like what my system that I created was through a morning journaling, which I'm a huge fan of. Yep. You know, and I'm like, oh, I've got a whole pyramid of how to work with people. Got it. And it's all about fear and turning into and moving into your authentic self through boundaries and self-care and self-love and releasing codependency. And through these systems, I was like, oh, great. There it is. Then I got a speaking gig. Yep. And it was in the workplace. And I'm like, how do I do this? And I was like, oh, wait, I could apply this system to salespeople. Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And then I was like, okay. And I've had this book in me for years. And now I'm starting to see like the constellation. Like I'm seeing how everything is connected and how it all is kind of really wrapped up. I mean, the bow ain't that pretty yet, but it's getting there. Yep. You know, and even you're like, oh, I'm in year 4. I'm like, oh, sweet. I could be in your spot in 3 years. Yeah. Like, absolutely. Years, I could do that. Yeah. You know, and it is about getting uncomfortable and putting yourself out there and freaking the hell out internally when all these, like when you're pushing beyond your limits, and then just basking in it after whatever it is done, like my speaking engagement or going on podcasts. You were shitting your pants. I totally was. And how much did you kill it? Oh, I nailed it. 10,000%. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, you got done and you sent all of us a message and you're like, I fucking nailed it. I mean, you were just so amazingly confident. And I was like, and I told you so. Because I knew there was going to be a moment where you knew we're going to get up there and be like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. And I was like, of course you're good at this. Yeah. And that's also, I mean, I think. And I also like practiced and time blocked and did all the things, you know, so that I could nail it. Yeah. So you took all the foundational tools. Right. Which I love because that's all the girl boss stuff. I mean, that's stuff that you have been learning. And this is so pivotal, but because this is where people want to jump to. This is where everybody wants to start. All the girl bosses that I'm starting summer school with on Monday, they all want to start here.
Oh, I want to do the signature talk, and oh, I want to charge, $1,000 an hour, and I want to do this thing, and I want to do this thing. And I'm always like, good for you. And this is what we got to do in the meantime. Like, I will never forget, I had this potential client who obviously was not a good fit, but she was like, so I asked her, what's your goal? And she was like, my goal is to get 10,000 Instagram followers. And I was like, why? Oh, I don't know. I just really blah, 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 blah. And I was like, what's your message? Oh, I don't know. And I was like, okay, 1, we're done. And 2, like, that's not the point. And you can't skip. God, I cannot stress this enough. Like, if I could scream this right now, but you guys would hate it. So I will exclamation point this in my voice. You cannot skip to the fun buying the pillows at Home Goods until you have built a beautiful foundation of your house. And that takes what you just said, the structures and the systems and the basics and understanding all of these things before you get to all the pretty stuff. And you got to put in the work.
Right. And the almost blind trust too, where you're like, I don't really know where this is going. I don't know what it's going to look like. She wants me to put up Instagram posts. She wants me to, get a CRM. I was like, what does that even mean? And it's like, and now I get it.
Yeah.
And it was hard work. It's like, I think Einstein says, like, success is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Yeah.
And this is a really true, that's just true.
Yeah.
And shifting my business in this way is, you guys are hearing about the pretty stuff, but, there's grit in that too. And your practices and your systems are like, again, I was doing them, didn't quite know where I was going with them. And then they all just fell into place. And I was like, oh, okay, now I get it.
So I wanted to end with 2 things. And I always say this, I said that like 10 minutes ago, but really we're going to end here soon. My coach used to say this to me, and I don't know where she got this saying, but I love it. What was once impossible is now easy. And what you just said, people need to hear. So we are both therapists. We know the Johari window, and there's this model in therapy called the Johari window. And one of the windows is unconscious incompetence, meaning you don't even know what you don't know.
Right.
And that is why people need coaches, is that we are just unconscious to our own incompetence. And that's okay.
Right.
And that is why what was once impossible becomes easy, because now you're like, oh, of course I know what a CRM is. And oh my God, I wrote an autoresponder series. And oh my God, I'm on Instagram. And oh my God, I have a proprietary system. And now I have packages. And now I'm making 3 times as much money. And now, like, I did a speaking gig, for God's sake. And now you're going to publish a book. And these are all things. I have chills. I have chills. 8 months ago in October, you had none of this.
Right.
And I do think that is really, if I'm going to toot both of our horns, 1 is I'm a fucking good coach. And number 2, you're a fucking good student.
High five.
High five. It takes a coach sometimes, but it also takes hard work.
Right. Well, and also, going back to like the therapy and coaching thing, there's only so much growth you could expect from somebody who's paying a $20 copay.
Woo! Or just drop the mic up in here.
It's like, I got on a very conscious level, I have to put my money where my mouth is.
Yep.
I just drop bucks, becoming your client. Yep. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to just piss this money away. Awesome. I'm like, I need to make it work.
That's powerful.
And so with coaching, there's so much more growth.
Yep.
And so much more openness to change because you're dropping bucks on it.
Yeah, it's not $20, it's $500 an hour. Or my coach is I calculated it the other day. It's $1,250 an hour. You better fucking believe that I show up ready for those calls.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I am on it. we go to town, and I take it very seriously. If it was $20, I might go talk about my cat or something.
Right, I'll take it or leave it. Like, okay, sure. I'll go in. Yeah.
Who cares?
Right.
Yeah, but that becomes then, also a waste of our time.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's end on my last question, and this is a little self-serving, but why did you trust me? I mean, why? What's the deal with that? Why did you trust me?
Well, because you're you. Awesome. Well, because of the relationship that we had, when we first met.
Mm-hmm.
We were supervisor or supervisee, but we connected, and, quite honestly, half the time we weren't talking about supervision.
Yeah.
And so I just loved you from when I met you, and I knew I believed in you back then. Mm. And so when I saw you X amount of years later, I was like, yeah, of course. I'm so glad she finally fucking got it, and now I need to learn from her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah.
Like, I knew your pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw you,
Yeah. And thank you for saying that. And the reason I asked that question, just in full transparency, is because there's people listening that are thinking the same thing. Like, who do I trust? How can I know? I mean, again, in therapy, one of the main things we learn as therapists is we can never work harder than our clients. Right. And I'm very aware, as you're very aware, like, I can't teach you all the stuff if you're not going to do it. I mean, I can teach you everything in the world, but if you're not going to receive it in a way that works for you. But I also believe there's something about the connection too. My whole theme for the event this year is like less hoopla, more connection, because the hoopla does not work. It's about connecting with human beings. And again, I'm not going to connect with everybody, and you're going to connect with different people as well. But yeah, I just think that is such a powerful thing about being able to know that you can trust somebody and connect with them. So before we close, tell us about your business. How can they find you? You now are like killing it with this awesome company. And I'm going to do a teaser before I give you a second to close this out. This is 2 episodes. So we are about to stop this video, and Facebook Live is not working, so this will be posted as a video, as well as stop this podcast, because she is going to come back in the 8 steps. So of the girl boss, there's 8 steps. So she is talking about kind of lady bossing it and leveraging it. But step 3 of the 8-step process is the mess is your message. And Nadia is a really, really amazing example of your message, and really, as your life unfolds, the things that happen, how that shifts. And so part of that is coming up. So I'm teasing it. You're going to have to come back. I wish I had the date written down. I might actually. I think it's July 26th. So July 26th will be the Message Your Message episode. But tell us about Transform the Shit Out of Your Life.
Okay, well, I can't go into it now.
Correct.
Can I? No. Okay, so I had this on the floor moment, and what came to me was basically a choice. And through this story that I will share in the next podcast, it came to me, I have a moment where I thought, okay, I could live as a victim, or I could transform the shit out of the worst experience I have ever experienced. And that is, and again, it was like when I was sharing, I always came back to that moment, and I didn't even realize it until I was talking with you, and you said, are you okay with that, maybe being your tagline or your message? And I was like, hell yeah, because that is really what I have done.
Yes.
And so, women specifically come to me when they want to transform the shit out of their lives, yeah. And it doesn't have to be a huge tragedy, or, it could be a job loss. It could be divorce. It could just be living in fear, mm-hmm. where you have everything that you could ever possibly want, and you're still unhappy, and you still feel stuck, and you are living in this loop of unworthiness. Then you come to me, and I guide you.
Yes.
For you to transform the shit out of your life.
Yes.
And so, and it's awesome.
Yep.
And so, and women, I think in general, tend to live in fear.
Yep.
And they live this cookie cutter life.
Yep.
And they think they should, get married at a certain age, have a kid at a certain age, work in corporate America. And then they're like, I have all the things.
Why am I miserable?
Why am I miserable? Mm-hmm. Why does my life suck when I have everything? Mm-hmm. I have no idea what my purpose is or what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. Yeah. And then it's about unpacking that. And then, understanding your worthiness, understanding your fears. Somebody says, I'm scared to do something. Sorry, you're going to go do it.
Yep.
and sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
And then once they get a little taste of that, then it's about building on that. My business has transformed the shit out of your life, but it's all done in baby steps.
Yep.
So that you can create the change. Yep. That's long term.
Yeah. It's the perfect balance of therapy and coaching and truth telling and effective tools and helping people get unstuck. Because I think that's one of the, as a former therapist, one of the things that frustrates me the most about therapy is there is this, I think, spinning a little bit of staying in your story and staying in your trauma when we really can transform the shit out of our lives. So how do people find you?
NadiaAhrens.com. NadiaAhrens, N as in Nancy, S as in Sam.com. And when you go on there, there's a free healing light meditation, which is, I think, super rad. And people seem to love it. And it's pretty awesome. So check that out too.
Thank you so, so much. For those of you watching or listening, we are literally going to stop this one and start the next one, possibly with a glass of wine, because it's July 3rd here at 3 p.m. Oh, and it is almost my birthday. So there's lots of things to celebrate. So thank you. Thank you. And I really can't wait to get into the next topic. So we will see all of you and you will hear Nadia in just a little bit. All right. Bye. All right, everybody, I have a confession to make. I have a new obsession, and that obsession is reading your ridiculously wonderful, loving, amazing reviews on iTunes. I love them. None of this even matters without all of you. So as a thank you, each week I will be reading one review on air and calling out your review with your name or your iTunes handle. So here's how it's going to go. You're going to go to Instagram and follow me at Front Seat Life. When you hear your name called out on the podcast, you are going to send me a DM with your address and say, "Oh my gosh, you just read my review." And I or my team will be sending you some Front Seat Life swag. We've got books and we've got tank tops and we've got journals and we have these adorable pink swells. So we will be choosing from the goodie bag and sending it out as a thank you. So thank you in advance. And I am so deeply honored to have the opportunity to thank you back. All right, everybody. Today's review comes from Evie Ward, E-V-I-E Ward, and it's just the cutest review, so thank you in advance. This person writes, "Rocks the house, 5 stars. I met Jessica at Shameless Mom Con in Seattle, where she was one of the guest speakers. This lady brings down the house, for real. I was so excited to find that she has her own podcast, and it has yet to disappoint. Are you looking for honest, real discussions for finding your true self and living your life from the front seat? This lady is for you. I especially loved her talk with Sarah Dean, the founder of Shameless Mom Academy, and I even was mentioned during her podcast as the woman who missed her kids' birthdays and her wedding anniversary to be there. I will tell you, I came back 10 times stronger and fired up, largely due to Jessica and her words. Thank you, Jessica, for speaking the truth. And thank you, Evie, so much for your amazing review." From the bottom of my heart, truly, thank you so much for listening. I know that you have a ton of options, and the fact that you are taking time to listen to the Front Seat Life podcast means absolutely everything to me. If you're interested in learning more about the Front Seat Life way of life in the community, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is always starting with your personality assessment tool. It's available on my website at jessicabutts.com. It's totally free, and it will help you figure out your personality type so you'll have some idea of what we're talking about. Next is, if you're interested in hiring me for a keynote or some coaching or strategy days or the fabulous and amazing Front Seat Life community, you can find out all about all of that at jessicabutts.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time.